I need to get them organized and sort my life out. RIP, all my books are now on the floor. I honestly don't know what to do. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Charlotte. I'm a Danish book lover from Denmark, based in Spain, and this is my little corner of booktube. Today I am going to be completely reorganizing my shelves because they're messy. They're pretty messy and I need to get them organized and sort my life out, basically. So I have quite a lot of books just chilling on my chair. I have obviously a lot of books on my shelf. Some is still in this Christmas tree position since Christmas, obviously, and RIP because they're probably not very healthy looking anymore. Anyways, so I've got that. Then I've got my two little bookshelves over here where my toddler has had pretty much fun. They need organized and it's all just kind of thrown in there. And then I also have over here, I have my TBR cart that I really want to get sorted out as well. I'm not sure I'm going to fill it up with books on my TBR today. I think I might save that for another video another day, but regardless, there's a few books on there that I want to put back on the shelf, so that needs doing as well. And then I have some new pictures that I want to put up as well, so hopefully they fit in these frames, but we'll see. Anyways, let's get started. Currently going through my TBR cart to take everything off as well, and I've got these three books. It's the Housemaid and the Housemaid's Secret and the Silent Patient, and these are some books that I borrowed from my friends. I've read The Housemaid. I'm pretty sure that the two I haven't read are on Kindle Unlimited, so I'll probably read them on there and give these back to her, because if I put them up on my shelf, I'm going to forget all about them and she's never going to see them again. So I'll probably put them to the side and then give them to her when I see her tomorrow and read them on Kindle Unlimited when I'm in the mood for them. So finally got all shelves emptied as well as the TBR card, and as you can see, all my books are now on the floor. This kind of seems like a bigger job than I thought it was going to be. Anyways, the books that I did have in that little Christmas tree decoration, I've put my copy of Iron Flame on top to try and put some pressure on them to see if I can help save the spine, but let's see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give my shelves a little clean, get rid of all the dust, and then I'm going to start thinking about how I want to sort all the books out. I'm probably going to section them by fantasy, dark romance, historical romance, crime, random books, and keep it like that probably. I've got two special edition books as well that I'm probably going to put together. I'm actually considering giving one away in a giveaway, but I'll fill you in on that a bit later on. So clean the shelves and then sort through all this. Okay, shelves empty, shelves clean. There was quite a lot of dust there, but what I think we're going to do now is we're going to put pictures back I'll put my candles here as well. Then we're gonna put the pictures back. I'm gonna try and put the new pictures in. And then we're gonna start with the books. So let's get the pictures. Actually, we're gonna start by putting the candles back, I think. So I was gonna fill up my cowboy boot with more matches, but I haven't got a clue where they've gone. Honestly, don't know, because usual, like regular matches won't fit in here. They'll completely drown in there. So I usually buy these really long ones, but can't for the life of me figure out where I put the remaining ones. So got 2 left. They'll just have to chill on their own. I've just got this little plant. Put back there as well. Okay, I really don't know if you can tell, but this one I love. It's a set of cowboy boots with flowers in it. And I think this is going to fit perfectly into my frames. No, probably not. It's probably going to be a little bit too big, to be honest, but I do have a frame that fits, so I'm probably going to try and pop them in there. Well, pop this one in there, but let's see what the other one looks like. Okay, this one is probably the same size as the other one, so I'm going to have to find another frame that will fit this, because I don't think the frames that I did have on my shelf will not fit this. But anyways, this one says do it for the plot, and I just thought it was really cool and to give a little bit of a different vibe on my shelves. So I've got those 2 that I'd rather probably put up, give it a bit of color as well. So let's see if I can find some frames for them. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that took me probably like a good 10 minutes because that was not easy. As you can see, didn't completely fit in the frame. I was trying to fold like the edges in, but the material made it really difficult, so that didn't really work. But I think we got there in the end. It looks okay, doesn't it? I love it. Now let's do the other frame. Okay, so this frame is actually a little bit different. I think it might be a little bit bigger because this one went in without any problems. Maybe this poster is just a bit smaller. I'm gonna check. Okay, so I actually found out I have 2 of these frames. So what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna put the other one in the other frame that I have of this one, just to see if it'll fit in there. I hope I haven't broke it now by bending it, but just at least so that the frames match as well. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Okay, so this is the other frame. It still doesn't fit 100%, like you can see here on the back. There's still a bit of the bottom that does not fit, but I still think it looks better because now the frames are alike, so they'll match a bit more on the shelf. So really happy I changed them. I think it'll look good on the shelf. Okay, I'm in a bit of a pickle now because you can't really see that it says do it for the plots, and I do really want it to say that, but I don't want to hang anything on the wall either because I keep like changing the pictures, and we do only rent this apartment, so I don't want it to be like permanent on there. Do you know what I mean? But I don't really know what to do now because I want to be able to see that it says do it for the plot, but I also want the candles to be there. And then I'm thinking, should I remove this little thing that they're standing on? But then the picture won't be elevated. So what do I do? I honestly don't know what to do. Honestly, can't think of anything else to do with it right now, so I'm probably just going to leave it as it is for now and then have a little think about it over the next few days, because when you're standing up here you can kind of see it says do it for the plot, but it's just, you know, I want to be able to see it better, so I might have to get some of that sticky tape to like kind of hang it so that it comes up here. I don't know. This is how it's going to be for now, so let's move on. So I was going to put a few more things here that I normally have here, but I honestly don't want to put too much in front of the picture because I love it so much. So I think I'm just going to leave it as it is for now, and then once all the books are on the shelves and I can see if there's some things that I can fit on the shelves, then I'll go back to this and see if I want to change anything or add anything. So for now, this is how it's looking up here. I'm going to start putting books on the shelves now. So I kind of want to start filling up from up here. And before I had my ACOTAR series here, and I had my Danish YA series, Northern Mythology series here, and then I had my special edition books here. I don't think I'm going to do that again now. I think I'm going to just stack this with fantasy books, and then probably the next shelf I'm going to put like romance books. I don't know, should I go like dark and down so that all the romance with the color is kind of in line with that? Probably. Fantasy, dark romance, romance. That's what I'm going to do for now, I think. So before we move on, I do want to just emphasize how amazing these books are, this series. I don't know if you can tell, but the spine on these are slightly worn because I've read them so many times and I've had them for so long. It's my favorite series, Danish series, fantasy, by the author Malene Sølstein. And I wanted to like highlight these because I've recently found out that sadly the author has passed away, which is obviously really sad. These books were probably the best series that I read as a teenager, and if you like fantasy, you like YA, you like a bit of Northern mythology, then I would absolutely recommend that you read these. Obviously my editions are in Danish, but I'm pretty sure they were translated to English. In Danish, directly translated, they're called The Whisper of the Ravens or The Raven's Whisper. I'm not entirely sure, but honestly, if you can find them in English, I'd highly recommend reading them if you're into YA fantasy series that focuses in Northern mythology. They are absolutely incredible. I will save these forever. They're just absolutely incredible. Okay, so that is shelf 1 done. I did realize I do not have all my fantasy books here, like there's not enough space for them, so I'm probably gonna continue like the fantasy to the next shelf and then either go dark romance and then romance, or I'm gonna go romance and then dark romance. I don't really know yet, but I'm definitely gonna continue fantasy on shelf 2, so let's do that. Obviously, at the moment, I only have book 1 of my ACOTAR series because my friend is borrowing the remaining 4. I think she's currently on the 3rd book, and I want her to have that reading experience. So she's obviously going to keep them until she's finished reading it. But I do think I'm going to put the ACOTAR series here. So for now, I'm just going to put the first one and then move on. But eventually, the remaining 4 will be here as well. So on the top fantasy shelf so far, we've got Divine Rivals, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, A Fate Ink and Blood, The Crimson Moth, From Blood and Ash, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. We've got Quicksilver. Then we've got the 3 books in my YA series with Northern mythology. We've got House of Bane and Blood and City of Mirth and Malice. Then we've got Caraval, which I have yet to read, and I really don't know if I'm going to, because I read Phantasma, which is meant to kind of be similar vibes but just a bit spicier, and I like spice in my books. It's not necessary, but I feel like as I'm getting older, to be completely honest, as long as there's like longing and, you know, tension and stuff like that between the main characters, then I don't mind that there's no spice. Like there has to be some sort of romance for me. And I have heard incredible things about Caraval, but at the same time, I've heard a lot of people preferring Phantasma. So as I've already read Phantasma, I'm kind of thinking, will I like Caraval? So I still have not read it. I might, I don't know. Should I? Let me know what you think. Then we have 2 Danish books here as well, which is called, what's it called? Something about an amulet, and I loved these when I was a kid. I think it's actually a trilogy, but I've only read these first 2 books. I don't know why I never decided to read the 3rd one. They were amazing, and I probably will read them again. I think they're YA as well, so a lot of the series that I loved when I was younger, I've decided to keep because I'm thinking one day my children might want to read them, and I'd like to have saved some for them. Anyways, then we've got Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which I didn't love. I've not read the other books in the series, and I don't think I will because I didn't like it. I do feel like I should give it a second chance though, considering how many people absolutely adores it, but I just don't think I can get on board with the writing. I like the idea. I think the plot is okay. I think the characters are good. I just don't think the writing is for me personally. So should I give it a second chance? I don't really know. I don't really want to spend my time reading something that I didn't love the first time around. You know what I mean? So then we have Promise of Fire, which I still haven't read. I saw a lot of good reviews about this. I actually decided to buy it a bit on a whim because I saw it on Amazon and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. I've seen good reviews of the first one, but then apparently the books that comes after that just goes down. But I will read this and hopefully it's good. Then we have A Dawn of Onyx, which I have not read yet, but I'm planning on reading this in 2025 and I'm really excited. And then we have The Cruel Prince. Then on the next shelf, so far, like I said, I'm going to put my ACOTAR series here at the beginning. So for now, we've got A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book here. Then we have the Book of Asriel and the 2 remaining books of the series so far. Then we have A Court This Cruel and Lovely, which I was going to read. I was meant to read this in like October, November, but never got around to do it because I was reading other books. So I've saved this. I don't know if I'm going to read it now or if I'm going to save it for a bit later on in the year, but it is my plan to read it in 2025. And then we have Pestilence, which is book 1 of the 4 Horsemen, and I wasn't sure whether or not to put this on my fantasy shelf because I'm not actually entirely sure if it's fantasy or if it's dark romance or if it's like a dark romance fantasy. So not entirely sure if it belongs with my fantasy books or if it belongs with like dark romance. But the same you can kind of say for the Book of Asriel and those type of books. So I'm gonna keep this on my fantasy shelf for now, also because there are, you know, a lot of fantasy books that kind of have a bit of dark romance in them. So keeping that there, and yeah, let's move on. Something that has always annoyed me is that I have Fourth Wing in hardback and I have Iron Flame in paperback. Normally I prefer having paperback, but I've ordered Onyx Storm as like a hardback special edition. So I'm gonna have Fourth Wing and Onyx Storm as hardback and then Iron Flame as paperback. So I'm very much considering ordering Iron Flame hardback and then getting rid of the paperback. But I'm also considering getting the whole series in like the smaller paperback. I don't really know what to do. I just don't like having like different editions of them. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna have a little think about that one. I'm going to Berlin with my partner early March, and there is a bookstore that I know for sure I want to go into, and I might have a look and see if they have Fourth Wing and Iron Flame and Onyx Storm in like the same sort of editions, and then I might get them. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. I've put another book here which is called The Forbidden Game, and this is another book I'm probably going to get rid of because I have never actually finished this book. I bought it in a supermarket here in Spain because I needed something to read, which was probably about 3 years ago now, and I read the first part of it and it was actually really, really good. Like, I remember it being really interesting. I think it's about a group of friends that gets caught in like a game, like kind of like Jumanji, but different, like a scary game. I really enjoyed that, but the second part of it just didn't catch me immediately, and then I was a bit like, oh, I don't really want to read anymore, and then I found another hobby to start with, so I just never got around to finishing it. But from what I remember, it was quite good, so I kind of want to give it another chance, even though I hate the cover. I really dislike the cover, but that doesn't mean the book isn't good. So, I don't know, does anyone know this book? It's by L.J. Smith. I'm gonna read the back for you. When Jenny buys a game for her boyfriend Tom, she finds herself inexplicably drawn to the guy who sells it to her. There is something mysteriously alluring about Julian's pale eyes and bleached blonde hair, and when he places the game into her hands, she knows their connection is something much deeper. But as Jenny and her friends begin to play the game, an evening of friendship and fun quickly turns into a night of terror and obsessive love. Because the game isn't just a game, it's their new reality where Julian reigns as the Prince of the Shadows. One by one, Jenny and her friends must confront their deepest fears to try and win the game, because to lose the game is to lose their lives. And that is only the beginning. I think there might be a second book in this. Anyway, yeah, it's called Night World series. Oh, is this Night World series? Maybe? I don't know. Anyways, I'm probably going to give this another go. I do think it's YA, so I don't know if it's going to be for me now, but I did enjoy it when I first read the first half a few years ago, so we'll we'll see. Then I've put my Fourth Wing and Iron Flame here, and then I've got my special edition of Her Soul to Take, which is actually like a dark romance fantasy, but I'm gonna keep that here. And then I have my special edition of Fear the Flames, which is the special edition book that I'm considering giving away because I did not like the book at all. Yeah, there's not much else to say about that. I really disliked it. So I don't want to keep it. I know I'm not going to read it again. So I definitely will be giving that one away, but I don't know if I should do a giveaway or what. Let me know. Now we're moving on to the next shelf, and I was gonna put either dark romance books or romance books here, and I'm thinking I would like it to be romance because then all the colors are kind of gonna align with that. But then I was thinking, well, why aren't I just putting them over on the other bookshelf, like underneath the pictures, have my romance books over here where I would usually keep like my historical fiction books. But my historical fiction books can just be further down on this bookshelf. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to probably put all my dark romance books here, and then I'm probably going to move on to like crime. So all the darker books are going to stay over here, and then all my fluffy colorful romances are gonna go over here. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna start by putting my box set of Game of Thrones here, and then I'm gonna put the remaining of my dark romance books here. Or is it better that I actually put my box set of Game of Thrones up here and then put these up? I'm gonna do a little bit of relocating, I think, because I want my Game of Thrones to be with my fantasy books. Even though it is quite dark, I don't feel like they're like my term of dark romance. Like they're more of like a dark fantasy. Does that make sense? So I want to keep them with my fantasy books. That's what I'm gonna do. Now my question is, will all of my ACOTAR books fit here? They will, won't they? But does it ruin it a little bit that they're like completely different colors? Like all of this up here is just dark. Do I just move it down to the next and do that as like a fantasy shelf as well? Yeah. Okay, so done the Game of Thrones and the Gods and Monsters. I caught This Cruel and Lovely, Pestilence, and the Forbidden Game up here, and then I've put my little what's it called? Like candle thingy? I don't know. Up here, and then I've put my Fourth Wing and Iron Flame on the next shelf, and I'm gonna have my ACOTAR books here as well. But obviously there's another book coming for the Empyrean series, and then I know for a fact that I am gonna have more fantasy books eventually, so I'm probably gonna just leave some space here. I don't know if I should put some candles or like that. It just doesn't fit, does it? It just doesn't look nice. So moving on, I'm gonna start on the dark romance shelf, which is gonna be down here, and I'm just gonna chuck them in there. Okay, so I think that's all my dark romance books sorted for. So we've got The Ritual, we've got Credence, we've got Viciously Yours, which is kind of like fantasy, but I kind of want it on the dark romance. If you've read it, you know why. We've got Blood Orange, we've got Five Brothers, we've got God Killer, Gothicana, then we've got the Kings of Sin series. I'm missing the fourth book, but I haven't read any of them yet, so I'm probably gonna wait and buy the fourth one until I know how I feel. Then we've got Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, and then we've got the Never After series by Emily McIntyre, and we've got what's the series called? The Hades Persephone series. I'm not entirely sure what the series is actually called, but it's A Touch of Darkness, A Touch of Ruin, A Touch of Malice, and A Touch of Chaos. And then at the end here we've got Grey, which is 50 Shades of Grey, but seen from Christian's view. And then we've got Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark, which is also part of quite a long series. I still haven't read the first book, so I don't want to order the others until I know how I feel about the book. So it's just chilling here for now. So yeah, that's all my dark romance books. Now I think we're actually going to move over to these bookshelves over here, where I'm going to put all my romance books, just because I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do like the crime and thriller shelf yet. So I'm going to start on the romance shelves. So starting off strong, we've got a whole Elsie Silver shelf with a space for the book that's coming out in 2025. So we've got my special editions of the Gold Rush series, Off to the Races, A Photo Finish, The Front Runner, and A False Start. And then we have the Chestnut Spring series, which is Flawless, Powerless, Heartless, Reckless, and Hopeless. And then we have her new series, which is called the Rose Hill series, if I'm not mistaken. And it's Wild Love and Wild Eyes, which I have yet to read. And I don't know what the third book is going to be called. I can't remember, but it's something to do with wild as well. So I know it's green, so it's going to fit perfect in here. And then that's a whole Elsie Silver shelf. I'm just wondering now, should I move it over here? Because then it'll be underneath the cowboy boots. I have a few other cowboy romance books that I know I'll be purchasing this year, which I'm currently reading on Kindle Unlimited. But for now, I think we're just going to move the entire Elsie Silver shelf over here. And then we're going to keep this shelf for like sports romance books. Yeah. Okay, so I did just say that I was going to keep the shelf to sports romance books, but I only have 3 books in the Boys of Tommen series, and then I have all 4 books in the series by Becca Mack, which is the first book is called Consider Me. I'm not sure what this series is actually called. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the whole series is called, but I have all 4 books in this series by Becca Mack, which is, I think, about ice hockey. And I do have 2 other books, which is also about ice hockey, but I don't think that I can do an entire shelf on just ice hockey romance because I don't have enough books for that. So I'm probably gonna put this series and then the Boys of Tommen, like the 3 books in the Boys of Tommen series that I have on this shelf, and then I'm gonna spread out the remaining romance books I have on the shelf underneath. Loki, you're kind of in my way. Out the way. Loki. Moving on, I'm gonna put the remaining romance books I have, and then I'm gonna see what else we've got. So we've got The Long Game by Elena Amaz, and then we have 2 Emily Henry books. I think it's You and Me on Vacation. I think in my previous video I said You and Me on Holiday, which is obviously the English word for it. And I don't know if the UK edition is actually called You and Me on Holiday. I presume so, but I was notified that it's called You and Me on Vacation in the US. So I don't know. I have it in Danish. So anyways, then we've got Beach Read, and then we have another Danish book, which is called, directly translated, it's called Summer in Bookstore Blue Rain. And then we have The 7-Year Slip, we have It Happened One Summer. I did read the second book in this series, and I did really enjoy it. I just haven't got around to get the actual physical book. Then we have the first, well, not the first 3, but 3 of the books in the Twisted series by Anna Huang. So it's Twisted Love, Twisted Games, and then Twisted Lies. I don't have Twisted Hate, again, just because I simply haven't got around to buying the physical book. But I did really enjoy it. I have read it. I did really enjoy it. So I do need to get it at some point. And then we have the 3 final books in the Bridgerton series. I've read the first 5 and loved them. And then I kind of just stopped, and I never got around to reading the 6th, 7th, and 8th book, but I have them as physical copies. I don't have the other 5, but I am collecting them. It's just a matter of time for me to get them, really. So yeah, that's all my romance books. I do have 1 romance book left, which is Swift and Saddled, and I feel like I should put it up by the Elsie Silver books purely because it's a cowboy romance. I know it's not by Elsie Silver, but I mean, for now, it'll be there. And from now, I think I'm gonna put like my historical romance books here. I have 3, and then the remaining of like my historical fiction books, which aren't really romances, I'm gonna probably put over on my other bookshelf along with the thrillers, and then leave these 2 down here empty and with space for more romance books. So I'm gonna put my historical fiction romances here, and then I'm gonna move over to the other bookshelf again. There we are. All 3 books are by Natasha Lester, which is, if I'm not mistaken, she's an Australian author, and she is really, really good. I love her writing. The 3 books I have by her is The French Photographer, The Secret Inheritance. I don't know if this is what they're called in English, by the way. I have them in Danish. And then 3 Lives, and I have yet to read the final one, which is 3 Lives. But the other 2 I really, really enjoyed, especially The French Photographer. It's probably one of my favorite books of all time, but it was really sad as well. Okay, so that is my big bookshelf all done. So I have all my like war fictional books up here, and then at the bottom shelf I have all my thrillers and crime. And to be completely honest, well, hello there. What do you want to say? And to be completely honest with you, I do think quite a lot of these I am probably going to give away at some point, just because I know I won't read them again. A lot of them were gifted to me by our landlord, but I just don't think I'm ever going to get but I just don't but I just don't think I'm ever really going to get around to reading them. But for now, they were okay here. Okay, I'm just on the floor now, but we only have a few random books left, and these include like there's like a pregnancy book that I was gifted when I was pregnant with my daughter. There's like, so they're just books that I never usually go for. Like there is a self-love or self-help book as well, You Do You, that I know I've wrote a little bit in, and at some point I might want to pick it back up, so I'm going to keep this one for sure. But there was also books amongst here that I know for a fact I'm never ever going to pick up, and I probably will eventually give away. So I do also have my collection of H.C. Andersen's fairy tales, and this is the Jubilee edition. I used to read these all the time when I was visiting my nan when I was young. She has, I think it's a Jubilee edition as well, and we used to just sit and read them. So I'm very, very happy to have this. It was a gift from my nan, and it's very, very thick. It has all of his fairy tales in Danish, obviously, because he was Danish. I don't know if any of you know of him, but he's written, you know, some of the biggest fairy tales. And I used to love them. I still love them, and I plan on reading these to my kids myself. So I'm so grateful to have this, and it definitely should have like a shelf to itself. So yeah. I think that's it for the bookshelves now. I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out, and it definitely looks more organized now than it was before. I feel like my mind is just clearer now because it's not a mess anymore. I can actually see all my books. That'll be all for today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and until next time, happy reading. I'll see you soon. Bye!